Big talent, low expectations, hot seat. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, previewing and predicting the entire Power 5. We're making our way through the toughest division in college football, the SEC Western Division, top to bottom, the toughest. The top half best, Big Ten Eastern Division, top to bottom, 1 through 7, SEC West. And that's what Ed Orgeron needs to deal with. So when I throw out those terms, that's what I'm thinking. Lowest expectations, lowest preseason rank for this program going back to 2000. That was Nick Saban's first season. So we had a coach just fired, Nick Saban taking over at that point. Things worked out pretty well after that. Then we've got, we've got still tremendous talent, freakish athletes all over this roster. It's crazy. Wait till we get to the personnel breakdown. Hot seat, Ed Orgeron. Yes, he's done a decent job. I think they just hired basically a Les Miles replacement with another Les Miles. I was on here over and over and over and over during the Les Miles era explaining my thoughts about Les Miles, which was a tremendous leader of men, an inspirational leader, a guy that loves his players loved him. They would run through a brick wall. But game management, X's and O's, time management during the game, awful. And when you're coaching in the SEC and you're coaching at LSU and you're expected to finish in the top 5 repeatedly, then you need all that pulled together. Ed Orgeron is showing us a similar record. Okay. He's got a quarterback situation with Joe Burrows and Miles Brennan. There were 4 or 5 guys in play, including Justin McMillan and Lowell Narcisse. Burrow, Brennan, it's down to those two. We all believe it's going to be Joe Burrow, but he has yet to make an announcement. And actually, Coach O said today in front of the media that he was going to go talk to the players and let them know who's starting on Sunday versus Miami before he lets the media know. So it's going to come out very soon, maybe right about the time this video comes out. Offensive coordinator Steve Ensminger. He's got a sketchy track record. If you look at his success or lack thereof, it's up and down. It's all over the place in the Power 5. He did have a nice run the last few games at LSU in 2016, and really the offense was much better under him. And, of course, Matt Canada was a failed experiment in working with Ed Orgeron. Burrow, Brennan. Burrow, he was battling Dwayne Haskins. Many thought that he had a legitimate, tremendous shot at winning the job at Ohio State, and I fully expect Dwayne Haskins to be a successful top 10 in the nation quarterback, eventually maybe a second season at Ohio State. So Joe Burrow can play. He can make the throws. We've seen it on tape. He has yet to show it in a game, in a meaningful game. He's played mop-up duty against the likes of the dregs of the Big Ten and non-conference opponents. Miles Brennan doesn't have as much ceiling, arm talent, but he's right there. The kid was a 4-star. So I know there's inexperience here, and it may get ugly against against Miami in Game 1. It's got the potential because of inexperience and making a few mistakes, and all it takes is 2 or 3 turnovers to turn a competitive game into an ugly game against a really good team. Not making a prediction right here, just talking about that this team should get better. It should be one of those teams that gets markedly better late in the season. And that's a situation with Burrows and Brennan that is going to play right into that. Okay, the running back situation depleted. Depleted in terms of a star running back. We're used to knowing who LSU's main back is. Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis, Jeremy Hill, on down the line. They don't have that guy. There's all sorts of crazy statistics out there, and I've recited many here on my show with talking about the lack of running back production coming back. Like nobody has a running back touchdown for the first time coming back to the roster since like the mid-'60s. No X number of production, whatever the measurement. It's been years and years and years since it's been this situation. So you got a number of guys vying for carries. So it will be intriguing Game 1 against a quality opponent where this running back distribution goes and then where it goes from there. Nick Brissett, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Curry, and Tay Prufens are just freshmen, so they haven't proven anything. Brissett's done the most. He has 19 carries for 96 yards. The offensive line is just a wave of 4-star athletes. Ed Ingram, very capable player, suspended for this game, suspended. We shall see what his suspension turns out to be, but that was just announced 10 days ago or so. Left guard, Garrett Brumfield, a second-team All-SEC. Sadid Charles at 8 starts. He's another highly touted player. And again, the waves of offensive linemen speak to the recruiting by Orgeron and Miles. Okay, wide receivers. Again, a bunch of unknowns. Tons of unknowns, but a ton of athletes. We do know Jonathan Giles coming in from Texas Tech. Proven playmaker in games. 69 catches, 1157. The yardage total in Lubbock, 13 touchdowns. So it's good that LSU has one proven offensive guy that's gone out there against quality defenses. Not the defenses he's going to see this year, but decent defenses in varsity action and played well. They do have some guys that have chipped in. Junior Steven Sullivan had 11 catches last year. Derek Dillon, 14. Drake Davis with 2 catches. Then, of course, they've got the load of wide receiver talent coming in. Terrace Marshall, 5-star stud. Jamar Chase, Keenan Jones, they're 4 stars. These guys could play early and often and make contributions, certainly. Foster Moreau, a tight end, quality player, 24 catches, 3 touchdowns. That's the offense. Man, I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated by this team because it could be hit or miss, and the schedule we'll get into. Defensive coordinator Dave Aranda is one of the best in the business, and he's got plenty to work with. But again, a ton left. The defensive performance in 2017 was not a dominant vintage LSU, Glenn Dorsey, Honey Badger kind of performance, but they were among the best in the nation in any measurement. So they were really good. But they got tons to replace, but they bring in waves of athletes. Okay, Richard Lawrence is one of the best defensive linemen. Ed Alexander, really good player. Texas Tech transfer, Breeden Fahoko, really good player, highly touted. He comes in. At linebacker, they're loaded. Devin White, 133 tackles, 13.5 tackles for loss. Tyler Taylor, a good contributor last year as a freshman, suspended indefinitely. Kalavon Chason, Jacob Phillips. Remember those 2 names? They could be stars. They played well in spots last year. They're going to be counted on this year. They could be stars. Chason and Phillips. Greedy Williams, one of the best in the business, 6 picks last year. He is a stud who's going to go in the top half of the first round of the NFL draft. Kay Vincent. You also have Terrence Alexander, 2018 signee. Kelvin Joseph, probably going to be tested this year. Pressed into duty. So, man, if I listed out the LSU defensive talent, if I went with 4 and 5 stars and listed out the guys that are on the cusp of contributing, that got either a taste last year, got on the field, and need to step up and be impact players, or the guys who were just recruited and signed or redshirted, it's mind-boggling. It's Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State depth, so we shouldn't be surprised because we've seen this ever since Nick Saban showed up. The schedule, though, I ranked it 6th toughest in the nation. It might be better than that. Basically, the non-conference weighs it down, aside from the Miami game. All you have to need to know about this is that this team plays in the SEC Western Division. They play in the best division. Then they play Georgia and Florida in the other division. No Vandy, Kentucky, anybody else to cushion the blow. Georgia and Florida. Georgia at home, Florida on the road. Miami, of course, opening night on Sunday. This team is one of the 25 best teams in America, but they will not finish ranked. They will be 7-5, 4-4 in the SEC. But they are one of the 25 best teams in America. If they went out and played a number of teams that will be ranked preseason, just like they are, I believe they're at the bottom of the top 25. But even in the postseason, even if this team goes 5-7, and that's possible, that is certainly possible. I'm marking down some wins against some really good teams in the SEC for them to get to 4-4. Because think, they lose to Alabama, they lose to Auburn, they lose to Georgia right out of the gate, let's say those 3, and then a Mississippi State or a Florida beats them. They're going to have to beat Texas A&M and Ole Miss, and they're going to have to beat some teams in there. Basically, their win should be Ole Miss, Arkansas, those two. And then after that, some semblance of Texas A&M and Mississippi State, or Texas A&M and somebody else, Florida. That's my take on LSU football. I think it's fascinating because of the athletic prowess, but it's a bit dysfunctional right here. There's just so many unproven pieces, and not the guy at the top of the pyramid that's going to make you believe, okay, it's going to be all right, and they're still going to go 9-3. They're not. That's my take on LSU. Leave your record in the comments section. I'm fascinated to see, because I'm expecting to see anything from 5-7 to 10-2. Join our weekly newsletter. Leave me an email at MarkRogersTV at Gmail, MarkRogersTV at Gmail, and you'll get the weekly newsletter starting this Monday, a week from today, this Monday, and that's going to be stats and trends and facts that you're not going to find anywhere else. It's my take and perspective on college football, specifically the previous weekend, and a channel update as well, right here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football.